We get some breaking news to bring you right now. Remember the situation that's been going down out in Milwaukee? Well, the court has suspended that Milwaukee judge. The Supreme Court there in the state of Wisconsin is coming forward and saying, you know what, we're going to relieve you of your duties. You are suspended because you have just been taken into custody. The FBI taking her into custody. One Judge Dugan today, and now moments ago, her penalty, therefore, coming from the Wisconsin High Court, where they basically said, you know, you can't continue here. They gave her a 2-page order noting that she faces 2 federal charges, saying that it is in the public interest to temporarily relieve her of her duties. I would say you want to forever relieve her of her duties. She is the woman who allowed for an alleged criminal who was here illegally to flee her courtroom, much like she fled just the other day. Take a look at this video of her trying to get out of town, as they'd say, trying to get out of town. The reporters are asking her for some kind of comment as she flees the back door after getting basically arrested by the FBI. Now she is in FBI custody, and now the state of Wisconsin is coming down saying, all right, well, we have to relieve you of your duties. You are now suspended. What's amazing is that this is not actually like out of the blue. Apparently these problems have been going on for a while in all of these sanctuary states. But let me be very, very clear. There is a constitution. There is an executive power. There is the power of the federal government. And what is that power but to actually control the borders? You're responsible for the naturalization of anybody here, etc. That is one power. There's a lot, I get it, that you can dispute, but that is one power that the federal government has. As Bill Barr made very clear the other day on Fox. I want to play this soundbite for you because he articulates it very well. He said, look, we've had these problems before. We've had these run-ins, these sanctuary cities, and states think they can do their own thing. Well, guess what? They can't.
Well, actually, David, this has been going on a long time. One of the ways we identify these illegal aliens is when they're picked up by local police for violating the law there. Could be domestic violence, petty theft, whatever. They're brought into state court. Now, in the old days, before the sanctuary cities movement got going, they'd be turned over to federal officials. But since the sanctuary cities took effect, we've had local judges let these people go and sneak them out the back door so that ICE agents can't pick them up. And in fact, back in September 2019, in the first term, we charged a judge in Massachusetts for a very similar action to what this Milwaukee judge
But
did.
it's the response to this, the actual arrest of these. And in the case of that judge who spirited her, the perp that was on the stand out the back door, I mean, she actually had to be chased down and was perp walked. And the judge and his wife went through a similar escapade with federal agents. I mean, it does seem like it's reached a critical point here. And I just wonder what's going to happen next. I mean, are we going to see this bounced up somehow eventually to the Supreme Court?
Yeah, I mean, I doubt it'll get to the Supreme Court because I think the law is so clear. The states argue, the sanctuary states argue, they don't have to affirmatively assist us, the feds, in getting hold of these illegal aliens. But this isn't a question of assisting. This is actually interfering with, of harboring, of getting in the way. And so I don't think there's any question about this, and I think it's time for zero tolerance and getting back to basics, which are that judges and state officials are still citizens, they're subject to the federal law, and they cannot interfere in or impede the federal function. So I'm 100% in agreement with what's done.
Well, of course, you know how the media is going to play it, and of course the Democrats already have begun. The protests have begun, suggesting that this is Trump again being the imperial president who's a dictator now and ignoring the courts. Do you think any courts will pick up on that? Any courts to which these cases might be appealed?
Yeah, I mean, some state courts, there's some very liberal state courts, they may try to go down that path, but at the end of the day, they'll be slapped down because these judges do not have the right to interfere with the federal government performing its function.
No, they don't. Okay. And just to get back to that, the federal government performing its function, guess what? Article 2, Section 2, executive power and treaties. The president, as part of the executive power, is responsible for enforcing immigration laws, conducting foreign affairs, including border control policies. Okay, that's just the way it is, guys. You've also got Article 1, Section 8, Clause 8, Clause 3, forgive me, the Commerce Clause. I know the Commerce Clause well. The Congress shall have power to regulate commerce with foreign nations, meaning that Congress can regulate movement across borders, including the movement of people, as part of commerce and international interactions. And then you've got Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, which is the Naturalization Clause. The Congress shall have power to establish a uniform rule of naturalization, okay? Meaning that guess what? The federal government, not the states, not the rogue sanctuary states or the sanctuary cities that want to have it their way. No, Congress is the one that sets the rules there. Congress controls the rules for who can become a U.S. citizen, and by extension, courts have ruled that this gives Congress the broad authority over immigration policy, entry into the United States, and deportation. Remember when back in Texas, remember when Governor Abbott was like, whoo, I got to get this wall back up. They're spending all this money taking this wall down that Donald Trump put up. I want the wall going back up. And he couldn't get it because why? Oh, the Biden administration said, no, we want the wall down. And we're all like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I was like, Texas, you may need to secede, right? Because this was not fair. It wasn't fair to Texas. You have a national federal government. What are they supposed to do? They're supposed to protect the borders, right? For all the reasons I just read to you. And they were like, no, we believe in open borders, apparently. Well, they certainly did. I mean, you had more people pouring into this country under one Joe Biden than you had ever historically had. It was kind of amazing. Tom Homan told us so much just the other day. He actually said he had never, ever worked for a president that was so willing to have so many people come in here illegally and not keep track of them. Unbelievable, right? And we know the method to that madness. Anyway, let's hear it from Homan.
Look, I started in the Border Patrol in 1984. I've been at this for over 40 years. I worked for 6 presidents, starting with Ronald Reagan. Every president I ever worked for took border security seriously because you can't have national security if you don't have strong border security. We got to know who's coming in, what's coming in, where's coming in, why it's coming in, right? Even President Obama and President Clinton took some steps to secure the border because they understood national security was important. Joe Biden was the first president in the history of this nation who came into office and unsecured a border on purpose.
That's what's so incredible. And now they're saying the fact that Donald Trump wants to come out and secure it is somehow some form of fascism or, some form of, he thinks he's king because he's trying to control the border. No. Hello, people. Guess what? That is the job of the federal government, and the federal government has made it very clear that they want to have that control over the border. So you got Chuck Schumer. My gosh, I mean, is it not time for him to retire or what? Chuck Schumer, who feels suddenly invigorated because, if I can just get people to hate Trump, then I'll suddenly have a purpose in life. He's on Al Sharpton, another winner's show, the other day saying that, I think this is a constitutional crisis. This is a constitutional crisis because we've got judges like Judge Dugan that are getting arrested by the FBI. You better believe she's going to get arrested by the FBI because she is flagrantly in violation of the law. For goodness sakes, you got someone who's arrested on domestic violence. He's in there in her courtroom. He's in the country illegally, and she shows them the back door out. Are these people crazy?
Immigration advocates have been warning we are on the verge of a constitutional crisis. Has that crisis arrived, Senator?
Yes, it has, unfortunately, because Trump wants to be king. A king doesn't have a constitution. A king just does whatever he wants, and Biondi just goes along with them.
No. Again, he's getting my Irish up. We do have a constitution, and we have the articles, Article 1, Section 8, Clause 4, the Naturalization Clause, giving Congress the power, the federal government the power. We have Article 1, Section 8, Clause 3, the Commerce Clause, again, giving the federal government the power. Article 2, Section 2, executive power and treaties, thereby giving the president the power. I don't know how much more they need. This one's pretty obvious, but you got to ask yourself, guys, what is their goal? What was their intention? I think we know what it was, a bit of gerrymandering along the way, so they could get enough people in enough states to try and get more Democrats controlling Congress. That'll work out well for you. We've seen how well that works out for you. Please remember to subscribe, share, like. We have much more news coming your way. I'll see you back on the Trish Regan Show again here tomorrow.